Quick heads up, particularly to our listeners in Denver tomorrow night, the Battle of the Talk Show host sponsored by AM 760, Colorado's Progressive Talk, which carries this show, along with David Sirota's show, his morning show, will be 7 p.m. at the Comedy Works Landmark Theater in Denver, Colorado. The tickets are sold out. You can enter to win tickets at am760.net. David and I will be there along with Craig Silverman, Tom Martino, Michael Brown, and more. It is going to be David Sirota. It's going to be you and me against the mob.
It is, but and I think we're up for it.
Yeah, absolutely. David Sirota is with us, the journalist, nationally syndicated weekly newspaper columnist with Salon.com, host of the David Sirota radio show on AM 760, Colorado's Progressive Talk, and the author of his latest book, Back to the Future: How the 1980s explains the world we live in now. I'm sorry, my notes here are all jumbled, David. And DavidSirota.com, of course, the website. David, how to stop the political insanity? It's a pretty broad topic, generally speaking, but you wrote a piece recently titled "How to Stop the Political Insanity." Recent research shows that turbulent times reward crazy leaders. Here's what we can do to counteract that. Who are the crazy leaders? What's the research, and what do we do?
Yeah, well, the first way to stop the political insanity is admit that we have a problem, and it's not just political, but it's also economic. There were two things that came out recently. One, a book that looked at whether and how turbulent times actually reward politicians who may quite literally be mentally ill. It was a book by a professor at Tufts University trying to look at how we define genuine mental illness, and then looking at politicians who have succeeded in turbulent times like now. And basically what this book concludes is that our political system right now is actually rewarding promoting people who may be insane.
Right, now, particularly sociopaths.
Exactly. And now, similarly, this is a similar situation on Wall Street. University of St. Gallen in Switzerland conducted a battery of tests comparing the reactions of people working in the financial industry with people who are known psychopaths, people who are in mental institutions because they're psychopaths, and they found that in most cases, those working in the financial sector who they had tested in this series of studies actually were more destructive, both self-destructive and destructive towards others, than known psychopaths. So when we refer to the craziness of the political and economic system right now, we're referring to something that's not metaphorical. We're referring to something that's actually real.
Right, and this is independent of party. This is independent of, right across the board. There have been demagogues on both sides, and all sides, frankly. And although I think that over the last decade, I certainly, with my old psychotherapist hat on, would in a heartbeat diagnose George W. Bush as a sociopath, or possibly a psychopath, certainly a sociopath. And there's a lot of crossover, and a few others. But I'm curious your thoughts on political movements. How do we, for example, good people who are doing great work with Occupy Wall Street. God bless them. Let's just sit here peacefully and make our presence known. How do you keep out the people that, I'm old enough to remember from the 60s who said, no, let's go burn down that building, or no, let's go occupy that building. In the case of MSU, it was the president's office and the psychology lab where they were doing the tests for the Vietnam War, psychological warfare. And that turned into riots that ultimately turned into turning a lot of people off to the movement.
Yeah, I think it's a tough question. I think that there isn't any evidence that the Occupy Wall Street folks are moving in that kind of direction. So I think that it's a tough balancing act. You don't want to respond to people like Mitt Romney, who insist that the Occupy Wall Street folks are, quote, dangerous and waging class warfare. But I think the organizers of that movement and everybody who's participating in it need to be well aware that there are things that could be done that would be self-destructive to that movement.
And that there will be people in the movement who are even their allies who, because of their personality disorders, will cause them to advocate that.
Yeah, I think that's true, but I also think that the way I see our social movement situation right now is I don't think that's nearly as big a potential at this moment, based on what we know about the Occupy Wall Street folks, than perhaps it was many, many years ago. Now, that's not to say that it can't go in that direction, but I sort of put it go from innocent until proven guilty. That's my attitude on this. Protesters who are exercising their First Amendment democratic rights, they are innocent, they are well within their rights until proven that they're not.
Absolutely.
As opposed to what the Republican Party is trying to do right now, which is essentially trying to say that they're guilty. They're automatically going to be lawbreakers or rioters, even though they haven't. We've seen nothing of the sort.
Right. Although we have seen one right-wing infiltrator who apparently was trying to provoke the police over at the Air and Space Museum over the weekend here in D.C. But we digress. The stopping the political insanity in part also means stopping the time of crisis, which and the crisis we have right now is an economic crisis as well as a war crisis, frankly. So
absolutely.
Your thoughts on how to stop that?
Yeah, well, it means recognizing that, first of all, as you and I have discussed in the past, social movements the best of them are nonpartisan. And I think that it means recognizing when things are crazy, they really are crazy. I mean, last week, the story of the Obama administration setting up a death panel, literally, in the White House, the story about al-Awlaki, the American citizen who was killed, and Reuters reporting that there's a group inside the White House operating under no established law, putting people, nominating American citizens to be put on a kill list. I mean, this is the kind of thing that a social movement, even if it more likes Barack Obama than, say, Mitt Romney, cannot be quiet about. It's the same thing with the Occupy Wall Street folks. Instead of looking at the folks who are protesting Wall Street as the supposed crazies, actually, I look at the protests on Wall Street through a different prism. It means looking at them through the prism of they're trying to actually stop the kind of economic psychopathic behavior that has actually driven us into a ditch.
Yeah. In fact, you could say that if you think of, we refer to the body politic, right? And so if you think of the political landscape of a nation as an organism, as a biological organism with a nervous system that responds to stimuli, that when psychopaths take over some aspect of it, in this case Wall Street, and the financial system in general, and the banksters, and Bernie Sanders points out repeatedly that the 6 biggest banks in the United States hold assets that are greater than 60%. 5 biggest banks hold assets that are greater than 60% of the entire GDP of the United States, the annual GDP of the United States. How crazy is that? I mean, that's genuinely crazy. And then they're running us into a ditch, and they're running the Europeans into a ditch, that there has to be, the organism, in order to survive, has to produce a response. And Occupy Wall Street is part of that response.
That's absolutely right. And I think that it's important that when we define what is crazy and what is not crazy, to understand that typically the traditional media, the Fox Newses of the world, they are trying to basically say that we are all crazy for looking at insanity and calling it for what it is, insane. They're trying to say the danger to the body politic are people who are expressing their grievances, people who are occupying Wall Street, when the entire attitude should be the opposite.
Right.
And as I say in this column that we're referring to, people who are listening to this right now, you are not crazy for thinking the political system is crazy. You are not crazy for thinking
you are right.
that the economy is crazy when we have 30% of corporate profits being generated by a financial sector that doesn't really create or really make anything. That's the insanity. And having a change of perspective to define what we say is acceptable and what we say is insane, that's where we need to be.
Very, very well said. David, I award you an honorary PhD in psychology.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate
from
that.
Thom Hartmann University.
Dr. Sirota.
Okay, Dr. David Sirota, davidsirota.com. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Tom.